Good afternoon, SDSCPA community at large, and hopefully some SCPA students out there and parents. Welcome to our college and conservatory conversation. Excuse me. And hopefully everybody's having a good day out there. I know that with the currency of the new lockdown orders, tensions are a little bit high. And we're also at that time of the year where Christmas is coming up and college applications are due. And students are in that panic mode. So if you're a senior and you're watching right now, don't worry about how you're feeling or what you're going through. Know that it's normal. Breathe, because we all feel you and we all know what that process is, and it happens every single year. So if you're feeling a little anxiety, you're feeling a little overwhelmed, all of that is normal. So welcome to the game. So part of our college and conservatory conversations, we've had some admissions reps and admissions directors in here today. We have a very special guest from the Berkeley College of Music. She is Brit Holbert, and Brit is the assistant director of admissions over at Berkeley. And Brit, welcome to our little program.
Thanks. Great. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
So, a few weeks back, we had on a gentleman, Zach, who was here and talking to us a little bit about Boston Conservatory at Berkeley. And he did a really nice job of delineating and separating out what the two institutions are and how they're connected and how they're not connected. And so we thought it would be great to have somebody from Berkeley to actually come on and talk a little bit more Berkeley specific and about the programs that you guys offer and about the admissions process. So I'm going to ask you, I'm sure you guys are getting flooded right now with all kinds of applications and all kinds of questions. Why are students so enthralled with the Berklee College of Music?
I know. It's nuts. It's an epidemic all on its own. I think the main reason, and I did not go to Berkeley, but what I see in our students that choose Berkeley, it's the network. You're really investing in a group of people that I think it stands out. What our alums are doing, the partnerships that we have, the different global outreach opportunities that we have, and the hubs across the US and internationally that students start to pick up on. One of the common things that I hear in interviews, especially when we're interviewing students for admission, is we ask, why Berkeley? What really motivates you to apply? And one of the top things people typically say is, some of my favorite musicians went to Berkeley, and the people that I admire went to Berkeley. So we're super lucky to have that kind of that admiration in that way, and some very relevant names in the industry. And I think we recently announced 29 Grammy nominees that came from Berkeley. Wow. So the name sticks out for sure, but I think we hold up with that by offering just really practical programs that are career paths into the music industry, things that students want to study, that set the pace as far as what's relevant in music, what's relevant in the industry, in production, in design. And we're continuing to offer that. So whether it's electronic digital instruments, whether it's production, electronic production design, or music production and engineering, or something super specific like a major called professional music, where you can design your own major and choose up to 5 of the majors and really build it yourself. It's unlike anything. The merge has only augmented that and offered more opportunities. So I'm sure Zach also mentioned the differences between the two, but the ways that we've come together just in 4 years has been astronomical to the community. Students can cross-register their classes and take classes in ensembles at the conservatory. And the same with the conservatory students. They can take classes with Berkeley. We've offered study abroad options for the conservatory, technology for the conservatory, and the conservatory has offered us minors in dance, drama, musical theater writing, emphases in musical theater voice and composition. So a lot of exciting things.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about the difference in, not the difference. We'll get to the difference later. Let's talk a little bit about degrees. What kind of degrees are offered at Berkeley?
That's a great question. I know Andrea recommended we could show a slide, and I think a visual representation of all the degrees is a great visual aid for us, that it's anywhere from composition to production, music business, management, performance, music therapy, music ed. And we talked a little bit about that professional music major. I'd say the most popular that students are applying for these days, songwriting for sure, anything in production, and music business. Those are some top ones. And of course, performance. Now, one thing that we don't often talk about is when you get to pursue these majors. Berkeley is unique in that when you apply to the school, you're actually not applying directly into a major. So the application process is all based on your principal instrument and how you perform as a musician. So even though you might not be a performer, there are other opportunities, and we can obviously talk about the whole breakdown of the admissions process as well. But highlighting these specifically, these are majors that you would choose after about a year. And so they are realistic pathways into career options.
So, is there a difference in the type of degree that's being offered, whether it's a BA, BM, or a BFA?
All of our undergraduate programs are BM. The Conservatory is where we have the BFA. And I know in the future, and this was in talks a couple of years ago, but it was supposed to be released recently, and because of C-19, things kind of got thrown off. But we are looking to offer a BA in the future. So a program, I think specifically within music business, that you won't have to audition for, that you'll be able to get into directly through application without auditioning and interviewing. And so those are coming soon.
Awesome. And then I think for students that are just now learning about the next steps, especially out here in California. Out here in California, so many of our youth are indoctrinated into the UCCSU system. So many of our public school students all across the state, especially the comprehensive students, they're almost raised with a mentality of, if I don't get into a UC or a CSU, then I'll probably go to junior college to start first. So oftentimes they're limited in terms of the kind of vocabulary that they're receiving. So they see BA, they see BFA, and then they wonder, well, what's the difference between BA, BFA? But at a school like Berkeley, and there are schools like Berkeley here in California too, the BM is another degree. And students sometimes will go, well, what does that mean? And can I get a job if I have a BM, or can I go to grad school with a BM? Because I don't know what that is. Can you maybe expand a little bit, help us out?
Yeah, well, I think that it can be an intimidating thing to go into something like music, especially when you're not really sure coming out of it if you're going to have a job. Like we all know, the music industry is a hustle. And in a lot of ways, you build it yourself. And in an age of DIY, that can be intimidating. I think a lot of people do choose the name of a degree, like a BA, BFA, because it's more transferable on paper. I know for us, even though it is the BM that you're seeing and you're graduating with, you are coming out of it with so many more skills than what it might be perceived as. So as a part of our curriculum, you still take liberal arts. So you're still taking arts, fine arts, social sciences, humanities, hard sciences, if you'd like. We're a part of a pro-arts consortium in Boston of other schools that offer arts programs. And we have this agreement with them that you can take classes within their institutions as well. And I recommend taking a look on our website for the list of all schools involved, but they're the local schools in the area. And so when you're in our programs and within the curriculum, regardless of what major you choose, you're always going to have those elements of entrepreneurship and, media and marketing, production. It's just more than what it seems to be when you say, I'm going into songwriting. Okay, well, what is all involved in songwriting? What are the components that make a good songwriter? What will I be doing in the industry? So we want to emphasize music because that's what we do the best. But we also want to equip all students with the skills that they need to be in the real world and get a job, maybe not within the industry, but something aligning with the industry.
Sure. And so when it comes to the BM, a student can't go on. They can go on and get a master's degree after a BM.
Absolutely.
Right, because what you were saying too, and that it just makes so much sense, is any degree you're going to have to take your I'm blanking on the term. You've got your major, but you also have your
liberal arts.
Yeah, the liberal arts. And there's another term for those courses, and I'm blanking on it. I can't believe it. You know what it
General
is?
education.
Your general ed. There
Yeah.
you go. Right, you got to take your general ed, and I think that's it. That just the concept is so new for students. Just, moving from high school to the college level. I knew it was for me too, because I was like, gen ed. Well, what does gen ed mean? Right, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, the math, the science, the history. Okay, I have to take those. I get it. All right, and then I get to take courses in my major. Okay, I get it. And then I graduated with a BA. So for me, it was like, oh, then I have another third that I have to do, and I have to do that on my own. So I got to figure out which electives I want to choose. And so is that still kind of the way that the system is set up at Berkeley as well?
I like to think of our curriculum as a sandwich in that the two pieces of bread are the constant. No matter what major you choose, you're always going to have liberal arts or gen eds, and you're always going to have lessons and ensembles. So when you're accepted to the school and you're starting off in your curriculum, that meat and potatoes section, that like the good stuff, is core music to start. And those are classes that allow us to bring everybody up to speed. And those are theory, ear training, music history, harmony, counterpoint, music tech, arranging, conducting. So we accept students that have so many different backgrounds. This is our opportunity to bring everybody to the same level. Once that's achieved and you declare a major, you swap out those core music curriculum points with your core major curriculum. And so then you'll start focusing on what's important to your major and those specific, all the while having lessons and ensembles and your liberal arts or gen eds to play with. Built into the general education courses, you'll have some elective credits. So if you wanted to take, like if you're a vocalist and you wanted to take an intro to guitar, you could do that with your elective credit. If you wanted to say you're in music education and you're doing a project on introducing e-learning to kindergarten students, you could take a production course to learn some of the ways to record that you can then introduce to students. It might be a little bit above their head at that age, but just to give an idea and an example. So I think that is where you can really have a lot of flexibility to build what your specific interests are.
Well, so students of SCPA that are out there listening, you heard it very, very clear. Foundational stuff. We know that our students sometimes they look at that because we're a performing arts school. We have students that say, do I have to take music fundamentals? Yeah, you do. Do I have to take theory? Yes, you do. Well, I'm going to play music in college, but I don't want to take those now. Well, you're going to take them now, and you're going to take them then.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be a part of your growth. That's the critical analysis and the studied component. It can be a lot more boring than it is to actually just play away, but it's also that foundation. So Berkeley is very good, obviously, at making sure that students all have their foundational skill sets in place.
Yeah, and you will thank yourself later. Do the work now. It will give you such a leg up because, like I mentioned, we see students from so many different backgrounds. You coming up from a performing arts school, you already have a leg up because some students don't have the benefit to even have a music class or a music department in their schools. So they're coming to us just based on their raw talent. They might have taken a lesson before. They might be playing in an ensemble, but definitely not the same amount of exposure that you have now. So trust me, if you are taking those theory courses, it's going to show in the audition. We're going to know that you're trained, and it's only going to help your case and your acceptance, the matter of acceptance, but also scholarship. College is expensive. Scholarships mean everything. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
And I love that you introduced that because I'm always going after that as part of our discussions. But we'll wait on that just for a moment.
Sure.
How does a kid get started? What's the best way to just get started in this process of applying, and then what does the audition or pre-screen look like?
Yeah, well, so I'm sure we're talking to freshman, sophomore, junior, senior level. I would say your junior year, if you haven't already been thinking about it, that's a great time to start considering, hey, what do I want to do? Do I want to go to college? Do I want to study something specific? Do I know that I just want to do music and that's as far as I've gotten? Or I know I'm good at music, so I guess I'll go for that if you're anything like me when I was choosing school. And so junior year is a good time to think about that, do a little research, and maybe take some virtual campus tours, or if schools are open, that's a great time to go visit a campus, because a big part of your time is going to be the time you've spent near or on campus, and you want to be happy. So that's a good timeline. Once you're a rising senior, so I'm talking right after your junior year, summer, going into your senior year, applications are going to start opening. For Berkeley, I think it's July. And this is when you're going to start researching, okay, I'm going to submit my application by the deadline. I'm going to maybe reach out to admissions, get in touch with people, understand what my steps are, and then I'll start preparing for the audition. Really, our audition process is very open, and it's intentionally so because we want you to put your best foot forward. So our audition process is a piece of your choosing on your principal instrument, really anything that you feel puts your best foot forward. It could be an original piece, anything 3 to 5 minutes. And we will also test you on some fundamental areas. So that's where that theory and ear training is going to come in, because we're going to test on melodic and rhythmic recall. So like a call and response type of exercise, sight reading, and improv. And you'll also do an interview that allows you to just express more about your background and why you want to go to Berkeley, maybe some goals that you have for your future self, and what you feel you can bring to the community. Another thing to mention is grades are important. We'll ask for your transcriptive grades. And I always say, strive for a 3.0. It makes it easy for everybody. Obviously, better is great. Anything below that, we're going to want to see a stellar audition. We can be a little flexible, but we're really going to want to see a strong academic standing. But to answer the bigger question of when to really start, I think you're already doing that. By being in a performing arts school, you, like I mentioned, already a step ahead. Keep practicing. Think about that prepared piece. Think about your training. Start reflecting on your background. Well, you know, how did you get to this point? Who introduced you to music? What are your inspirations? And most importantly, just keep listening to music. Listening to music and diversifying yourself is going to make you a better musician. It might not feel that way at first, but you'll start thinking back on this 5 years from now, and you'll say, you know what, I'm glad that I opened myself up to a different genre or style and took a leap in that direction.
That's all really, really good advice. So students, if you're out there and you're listening, really heed, what Brit is sharing with you, and feel confidence in knowing that you already are on the right track. And so now it's just about really looking a little bit deeper and saying, what is it that I want? Brit, we've had a number of students in my decade plus at SCPA graduate from the Berklee College of Music. So, it's one of our more high profile schools where students are trying to get into. And so it's one that students always want to know just a little bit more about. So can you talk to students a little bit about what does student life look like and feel like on the campus at Berkeley?
Yeah. I like to always say, and I mean the most by this, that it's a community of misfit toys. It's all the students that thought that they were the only ones, that they were the only one that was interested in XYZ, that only liked that kind of music. You find your match at Berkeley. You really do find your community. And it's so common that when you're in the hall, when I'm in the elevator packed with 15 other people, this is before COVID, by the way, you just hear conversations like, hey man, you're in my theory class. Yeah, cool. How's it going? What do you play? Yeah, we should jam sometime. Do you write? Yeah, what are you writing? What are you into? And within a 15-second interaction, they've already connected and established a relationship. And once you meet one person, you meet like 15 people at Berkeley, I always say, because someone knows somebody, and you just start spreading your web, that network. You'll hear that a lot, the network at Berkeley. And it goes beyond. I was just saying in a session earlier, once you graduate and you go off into your career, those are your people. Those are the people that you're going to want to know. Never burn a bridge, because music and the industry is all about who you know in a lot of ways. So when you're on campus, it's a smaller school, but as far as schools go, especially music schools, we're one of the largest on the East Coast. So it feels like a community, a family, where everybody wants to support each other. And even some of my students that have graduated, I follow them on social media, and they're constantly hyping up their classmates. And as they put out albums, as they get jobs, as they start producing music, and overlapping some of those skills even at Berkeley. So if you are someone that feels like the only one, know that there's a place for you. And it's most likely Berkeley or Boston Conservatory.
That's awesome. And I love some of the phrases and key words that you were saying there. At SCPA, we constantly refer to us as a family. And I know that our students love that environment, because that family environment is very unique. It's very special. Not all universities or colleges or conservatories feel like that per se. So that family connection is huge. So students, if you're looking at, moving on from where you're currently at to kind of a bigger sense of that in a different part of the country, which I always encourage. It's so great to see a different part of the country and to get to know more different cities and what they're like and what people are like. Then Berkeley sounds like a really good fit. So, Brit, we're kind of running out of time here already. Folks, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat, and I'm sure Brit would be more than happy to respond to those questions. But Brit, I'm going to ask you one more thing, and that is, so if a student is going to audition, what should they be preparing? How should they be preparing? Who could they talk with if they're going through this process?
Yeah, so maybe this is a good opportunity for Andrea to put the email. The admissions@berkeley.edu, thank you, is the best way to get in touch with our frontline. And this will be triaged to a number of people. We have 6 counselors in admissions. We have enrollment officers that help you with materials for your application. And as you prepare, reach out to us. That's what we're here for. We're here to kind of guide you. I'll share a story that just today I had a student, yet last week, she wanted to cancel her audition and withdraw her application, just point blank. And I said, that's a little strange. So I reached out and I was like, let's set up a phone call. We talked it through. I explained everything to her. She thought that she just couldn't cut it. She thought, wow, it's Berkeley. Like, people are really psyching me out of this opportunity. And I was like, no, this is an accepting, open environment. We want you to feel your best, and we want you to feel confident. And that's why the prepared piece for you is just to choose something that's going to be your best performance, something you're comfortable with. If you're a metal guitarist, do metal. If you're a pop vocalist, if you like K-pop and you want to sing something that is a K-pop song, do that. If you are a classical pianist, or if you are a classical string player, play classical music. I think a lot of people think because Berkeley has roots in jazz that we only want jazz students. Do not play jazz if you don't feel comfortable with jazz, if you don't like jazz. If your teacher is telling you, hey, autumn leaves, prepare autumn leaves, pick something that you want. Pick something that you think is going to let you be your best, because we're going to see that. We're going to see that you're not the most comfortable on something and that you could have chosen something different. So reach out. Start thinking about those things. Definitely stay in your theory courses. Practice your sight reading. We have a ton of examples on our website. Just use the search bar at berkeley.edu to type in audition and interview. We have practice examples for improv. It's just basically like a recording of some bluesy jazz type vibe that you can improv over. And interview questions as well are up there, and sight reading examples. We also have a very large presence of people reviewing their audition experience on YouTube. And I'm sure you can find something if you search it there as well, and just kind of see what people are saying. That's the best way to prepare.
Awesome. Great advice. And students, this is where where the money is. When it comes to, looking for scholarship, that type of thing. Students, I'm talking directly to you. I know that when it comes to the UC and CSU system, academic scholarship is always going to be limited to a degree. I know that students are constantly looking for money to want to attend a school. And oftentimes you might look at that price tag and you might see $50,000 for, to attend the school. And right away, you want to turn your mind off to it. Well, here's an opportunity. Here's where the opportunity lies, I should say, is schools like Berkeley. While there may not be academic scholarship out there, and I don't know, Brit, you can speak directly to that. The one area that I know that there is always scholarship money available is the merit side, and that comes directly from your audition. The audition is so key within that 5, 10, 15-minute window. The institution's going to determine your acceptance and potentially how much money might actually be following you. So, Brit, can you talk a little bit just about what kind of opportunities are available scholarship-wise for kids?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. There's a merit consideration for every student that is auditioning. We give about, on average, 40% of students some sort of scholarship. The average award that we give is roughly 45% of tuition. So by no means are we meeting everybody at half. We do try. There are scholarships up to a full presidential, which cover full tuition and fees plus room and board. Just below that, there's the full tuition scholarships and everything in between. So there are opportunities. Additionally, if you are a writer or composer, in your application, when you're filling it out, there will be a section that asks, do you want to be considered for additional award based on your writing skills? Select yes, submit your work, and that's an additional consideration for merit. Aside from that, we have a whole list of recommended outside scholarships, different organizations and affiliations where you might apply with an essay, a video, it might be academic based, and those are ways to piece it together. When we're shifting from merit more to need, of course, we offer financial aid packages. Even for students that are international, they can submit the CSS profile for need-based grants. And we are also giving out grants recently, especially a COVID grant for those that have a different circumstance or the family contribution has shifted due to various reasons related to COVID-19. So tons of opportunities. And even when you're at Berkeley, continuing students, always an opportunity to get scholarships. I have had students that have applied for Live Nation scholarships and gotten $10,000, or they're in the songwriting department and they submitted their works for a scholarship and got $15,000. So even if it's not money, it could also be something like an internship opportunity, which can only help you kind of propel yourself forward. So another reason to reach out to admissions, if you want to know all of the details about applying for scholarships, applying for aid, and beyond.
That's great information. And for parents that are listening out there, you can see a $50,000 price tag, but I'll tell you what, if you take Brit up on all of the opportunities that are available and you really work through them, you can end up oftentimes in a place where you're paying a fraction of what that 50,000 looks like. You can bring it down to 10,000 a year, which is exactly what you're going to be paying if you're keeping your student here in the state of California or even locally here in San Diego. So it really is about doing your homework and figuring out what is best for you, because the quality and the level of education that you want to receive, students and parents, the level of education is really up to you. And so there's just incredible doors that are just waiting to be walked through I mean, the door is already open. You don't even have to open it. Britt, any other last thoughts or bits of advice or things that you would like to leave us with regarding Berkeley?
Well, I'd say the next steps really for students, specifically if you are really not maybe there yet to applying, our next application deadline is January 15th for my seniors out there. If you're still looking to get in for fall 2021. But aside from that, start preparing, fill out the application, get in touch with admissions, review your finances, do a little research, and just practice, practice, practice. Listen to music, because that all will help you improve and ultimately get to Berkeley.
So students, parents, it's admissions at berkeley.edu. And we've had a great conversation with Brit today. Brit, thanks so much for being here. I think that it's just important that our families and our students have as much information as possible so that they can make really well-informed decisions about their next steps in their lives. And by the way, students, I know that the moment feels incredibly dark. I think everyone in education is feeling that this moment is incredibly dark, but I want to encourage something. While we went through that period last spring where students were recognizing that they may not be on campuses in the fall, I can almost guarantee you that that will not be the case next year. So if you're applying right now or you're going through the process right now, know that you're going to be on a plane and you're going to be on your way to the Berkeley School. You're going to Boston, man, and you're going to be there on campus because, there's a plan that's going to be put into effect January the 20th. And I have all of the faith in the world that we're going to get control of this COVID thing. And maybe even by late spring, we may even see some campuses already returning. So I wouldn't be down as you're going through the process. Know that if you're applying for the fall of 2021, 99.9%, you're going to be on the campus and you're going to be on a plane heading for Boston. So get excited about the opportunities that are out there for you. Brit, Holbert, thank you so much for being here with us. And thank you so much for sharing the information.
Thank you. This was awesome. And I can't wait to see all of you in Berkeley, at Berkeley in Boston.
You guys remember that this is now part of our archive. So if you need to go back, just go back to sdscpamainstage.com, hit the College and Conservatory tab and scroll down to the bottom where the archives are located. And you can listen to Brit, you can listen to Zach, you can listen to any one of the number of admissions directors and representatives that we've had this year. Parents, students, I want to thank you for sending your kids to the SDSCPA, and I wish you and bid you a great evening.